So I, 29F, have always been a polyamorous person. My partner, fiancé, 31 meters of 3.5 years has never been. I had a boyfriend when we started dating, but I broke up with the other guy about 2 months in, so that's his whole experience with dating someone who was dating someone. Well, I had a kind of epiphany after a friend's death that I wasn't being true to myself in a lot of ways, and one of the ways was that I wanted polyamory. My partner and I had talked about it a ton before. Usually, he was the one who brought it up because he was psyched about the idea, but we never put it into practice. But at this point, I identified it as something I thought we needed to try at least before we get married to see how it goes. We made very rudimentary rules, barely consisting of no smooching each other's close friends, always use a condom, and nothing happens in our bed. I now realize it was pretty lazy of me as the person who actually has experience with both good and bad poly situations to just say let's figure it out as we go. I will say I have never been in a monogamous relationship this long and never opened a previously monogamous relationship, so I am no expert by any means. So I started smooching with a couple fellas, guys who were actually friends of mine before this, and it was great. I felt like someone had recharged my batteries, not just sexually, but emotionally and as a caring person. I would come home and make awesome meals, the extra sweet and loving to my partner, and generally, this was seen as a positive step for us. I was feeling a bit of guilt until my partner told me he had made a few dating profiles, and then I got excited, like, wow, we're really doing it. How awesome? So my partner goes on one date and it's not great. He was upset because the girl was heavier than she was in her picture. First of all, bummer, that was his reaction, kind of, and second of all, welcome to online dating. He decides to delete his profile because he's not into it. However, before he deleted his profile, he started talking to another girl and they planned a date. Great. Unfortunately, it was scheduled for a time here, and I was supposed to pick up my sister and bring her to the beach, and have our last beach weekend of the summer with my family, so we made a plan for him to go on his date. I would come up with some use for why he couldn't come, and then he'd catch a ride with his sister who was also coming to the beach in the morning. Then he and I would drive the several hours home together. I got a text message at night at the beach from my partner asking if I was okay with this girl coming over to our house. I admit I was not 100% okay with it, but our boundaries regarding our bed were in place and I felt like as a partner, poly or not, he wouldn't just cross the boundary. And, plus, I wanted to be encouraging, and I wanted to make sure he didn't feel as though he was doing anything wrong, so I said, sure. Go for it. I now realize that putting his convenience in front of my comfort was the wrong move, so morning comes, and I wake up to a 6:30 a.m. text from him saying, I don't feel well. I'm not coming to the shore. So I text and call him back and no answer. At this point, I'm feeling pretty insecure, like, what changed between when we made these plans and now that makes him not want to come be with me and my family? I finally get him on the phone, and I try to tell him that it's really disappointing that he's not coming to the beach because I was hoping process stuff with him a little bit and just kind of be sweet and loving and her family time. Basically like emotional aftercare. I guess I didn't realize that him coming to the beach was him reassuring me that his feelings for me hadn't changed, and so when he bailed on our plans directly after his first successful date, it kind of threw me for a loop. It should be noted that at some point, I asked him if he and this girl had done anything sexual in our bed, and he said, no. Well, the unfortunate thing about my partner is that he's kind of emotionally immature. Basically, whenever I get upset, especially upset about something he did, his reptile brain shuts down and he is really kind of mean to me and acts like a myth school kid in detention. So this morning, I'm pretty upset and crying on the phone with him because at least 7 of my family members are asking me where he is and I'm fumbling for excuses because I already had to lie to them about why he didn't just come with us last night. And I'm so upset because he's not there to process with me and my feelings are just kind of spiraling out of control. He hears how upset I am and says things like, "Am I going to catch shit for this all day? And I want you to have gotten over this a half an hour ago." So I'm kind of miserable and decide to just go home and process stuff with him. I am not going to be able to relax with my family, and I actually just fucking hate the beach when he's not there. He tells me he thinks I should stay at the beach and have a good time. So I come home from dates, and all I want is to be with him and show him love, and he has one date and wants me to stay 100 miles away from him. Great. So I'm driving home alone for hours, which I was not mentally prepared for, just generally upset and feeling like shit. Well, when I get home, shit gets worse. Whenever I express how upset I am or why, he gaslights me like crazy, making me feel like garbage for having any emotions at all. He refuses to be accountable for anything at all. He is incapable of hearing the words that I am saying and just acts petulant. He says incredibly hurtful things. I noticed that our rags are outside of the dryer and I say, "Oh, did you do laundry?" We had just done laundry, and he said, "Yeah. I washed the laundry and the sheets." Why? They needed it. That's all. Yeah. Weird. Later I noticed our bed was made and I just knew. I said, "So you did stuff with her in our bed, right?" And he said, "Yeah." I asked, "Did you have sex with her?" And he says, "None of your fucking business," and I kind of lost it again. We had sort of clawed our way out of the traumatic part, and this just sent me right back down in it. Not only had he crossed one of the only boundaries put in place, but he lied to me about it. I tell him to get the fuck out of our house because he lied to me. I slammed the door and get in the shower. I basically had a panic attack in our shower. I couldn't wash myself. I was just sitting there in the water. He keeps threatening to leave. I don't actually want him to leave. I am just furious and so hurt and can't fucking deal with all of this. We obviously suck at communication and we suck at taking care of each other and everything sucks. He tells me that my boundaries are weird hang-ups. He says, if there are going to be rules in polyamory, then that is going to strip all of the benefit I could possibly see from it and it won't be fun. Granted, these are all things that Ding Dong says when fighting and are generally not exactly how he feels. Reptile brain. I ask him if he still wants to marry me. Maybe that was shitty of me. I was just trying to remind him that we are hopefully getting married and should probably start acting each other more and treating each other better, and he can't answer me. Later, he told me that he was never going to leave Slack, always wanted to marry me still, he was just angry. So this all fucking sucked and was traumatic and awful. I get out of the shower and I'm sitting on my bed and he says that he loves me and he's sorry and going forward won't make those mistakes again with polyamory, and I say, I'm sorry, but I don't think I can be polyamorous with you right now because as you not only crossed a boundary that we had set together, but you lied about it to my face several times. And he blew up and stormed out mumbling something along the lines of, I'm not gonna can do this anymore, I'm out. I don't like how you run the whole fucking show, and threatens to leave. So then I'm literally wet and naked on the floor begging him stay like that dumb Natalie Imbruglia song, and I'm just traumatized. Well, he stays. I try off, get dressed, and we go to the movies. I thought it would be a nice thing for us to do once we calm down, to just sit in the dark together, maybe try to show each other affection without having to think or talk or process anything. And it was. We were able to calm down and be okay for a little while. I slept on our ridiculously uncombed the next day. I wake up and take an or shower, but can't stop crying. I go for a long walk. I come home. We have a long, calm talk. We decide to put Polly on hold indefinitely until he can do some reading about stuff and maybe go see a therapist. Things are going great. We go to a barbecue with my family and afterwards hang out at his family's house, and things are feeling great. We're talking about the wedding. Things are feeling normal. Things are feeling good. We go to bed. We start fooling around. One thing leads to another and I'm going down on him. I ask him if he wants to have sex with me and he says, won't the coconut oil mess up the condom? And I say, oh, I'm about to get my period. No condom needed, and that's when he decides to tell me that the condom came off while he was having sex with this girl in our bed. I didn't freak out, but I calmly explained why as his partner, it certainly is my business if you have certain contact with someone to that level, especially if something like that happens. And that he's put me at risk because I have already had contact with his penis. A gig. So that's where we are now. I feel like I ruined my relationship by trying to be true to myself and trying something new. I just don't know what to do, and I'm wondering if I totally overreacted, and I'm wondering if polyamory is ever going to be an option again, and I'm wondering all kinds of things.